Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts families. So, we have a reading today, and there are some themes that have been relatively consistent going through because we are in such a period of change where each of us is being asked to look deep within and discover again, are we truly on our best path? Because the energies that we are facing now are going to make it so that if we are not on our highest path, or at least a high path, then we're going to find a lot of inner conflict. And so what we see right here, going from world or from word to world, is referencing that. And Cindy's going to tell us more about that card.
When I read this card, it resonated really deep because it's telling you, or it's saying, sometimes you ask yourself, what the heck did I just do? How did I get myself into this situation? I can't believe I actually chose this. And it does talk about higher frequencies, lower frequencies. And if we're of higher frequencies, we're going to put ourselves in positions of upliftment. And if we are in a lower frequency, we might choose things that might force us to struggle. But in the long term, it will help us. It'll help raise our frequencies. So that's a card that really resonated with me.
Most definitely. And, in these times right now, what we're doing is we're purging. We're purging so much. So many of us are purging, getting rid of, past trauma, past difficulties, things that we have not been able to handle. It's coming up again. And some of us are in repetitive loops where we're still doing the same old things time after time after time. And many of us are not even engaging our intuition, let alone trusting in our intuition. So, this is what we see from the cards. The mental conflict is obviously the result of that and such actions. And so many people are right now in deep mental conflict. Look at the world right now. Look at the people in the streets. Look at the people that want to join them in the streets, and then look at people that are just simply confused. They don't know what to do. Some people are like deer in headlights. They just can't move. They're just feeling immobile, but yet there's this inner anxiety, there's this inner urge that's urging them to move, but still they can't. They can't get themselves out of situations that they found themselves in, that perhaps they feel tortured in, and just don't see any way out of it. Of course, it's so easy to, well, we could say make excuses, um, even when there are legitimate reasons for things, such as debt. Debt is one thing that keeps us trapped in this matrix. And of course, there's many, many other things as well. And so we see the devil card right next to it. And that's telling us many things, but one of the things it's telling us is balance. It's telling us it's okay to enjoy yourself in this world as long as you don't go from one extreme to the other. Would you agree, Cindy?
I would wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah, most definitely. So we have to find our own balance. And again, it's all about going within. The next two cards, the Sweat Lodge, obviously about purification. And the next one is the Ganja, which is, the Ganges River and the goddess of the river. So it's, again, purification, 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 which will lead to liberation. And also, when we feel purified on the inside, when we feel liberated, it's going to help us to have freedom from dis-ease. It only goes hand in hand. It's just a natural process. So how do we do this? Well, the Four of Swords is telling us, even in the face of what might look like, daunting odds or insurmountable challenges, we got to be still. And that's hard to do when you have three swords pointed right at your body there. But yet that's what it's telling us. It's telling us exactly that. Be still and go within. And over there we see a vision of Mary, or we could view it as a goddess, perhaps the mother goddess. Again, we have to find balance that comes from within. This whole culture has been, in my opinion, purposefully designed in such a way that it is completely out of balance. And again, the feminine signifies the receptive. It's, when we're talking about yin and yang, well, the yin comes first. We usually don't say yang and then yin. So, we're acknowledging the divine feminine. We're acknowledging that we have to be receptive. We have to still the left brain, which can be extremely challenging at times, most definitely. For most of us, that's a huge thing that can seem insurmountable. And yet, we are being told that if we do still the mind, the answers will come. And the very next card is creation, because when we do still the mind, we will truly find inspiration, which leads to creation. And that's what we're being called to do here. We're being called to make a new world from the ashes of the old one. And we're seeing the old one in ashes in many places, obviously, with the fires going on in Australia, the fires we've had in California. And, there are so many other natural disasters that are washing away whole segments of the earth or purifying with fire as well. So what we have to do is still ourselves, find the inspiration, allow that to lead to creation in a positive new way. And then right next we see baby Ganesh being nurtured, and that is what the next thing is. We have to nurture it and let it grow. And that takes time and patience. Do we have the time? Do we have the patience? Well, we have to make the time. And we have to cultivate the patience to create something so wonderful and new from something that has been so, unfortunately, in this matrix, so abusive and has been here for thousands of years. And the key is opening your heart to love, as we see Jesus in the next card. So that is the key, and that is where we are going. We are going into a heart-centered world of compassion. Hard to believe that when we see the chaos that's here right now and the chaos that's going on all around the world and has gone on for thousands of years. Because we have had such a masculine-dominated warrior system of, exactly as Darwin said, basically it's survival of the fittest. But keep in mind, Darwin wanted to perhaps cultivate that mindset because he was a 33rd degree Mason, and perhaps he was in on this whole construction of this matrix in the first place. At least the modern matrix, with our view of evolution, that perhaps is not exactly accurate. And next one we see is that we, in each other, we find ourselves. So how do we manifest this? Well, it's shifting to service of others. And, there's service to self, and then there's service to others. And the Law of One speaks about this to a great degree. And those of you that haven't looked into the Law of One, I would encourage you to do so, because I think most people that have experienced it have felt very, very inspired by it. Yeah, it really does have a lot there that is very inspiring. Would you agree, Cindy?
Oh my gosh, that is the best thing, the love one. I really would love to maybe do a show or two or even 10 shows on the love one. It's beautiful.
It is. It's so inspiring, and it rings so, so true. So we need to take heart. Next card we see is overcoming difficulties. Archangel Jeremiel. The worst is now behind you, and you are surmounting any previous challenges. And it might not seem like that's the case, but we are. We truly are. We're making a new world right now, whether we realize it or not. And, we might think that, oh gosh, pole shift is coming, the nova's coming, we're all going to die, and go running and screaming, down this street with our hands up in the air. But, we're going to surmount that. I personally believe that, consciousness manifested this world. This world is for consciousness to explore. And so we have nothing to fear because we are consciousness. We are above and beyond this world. It's only a part of us that's actually in this world. It's just like, there's a great analogy. We could make an analogy to video games, and that's exactly like what we're in. And when we recognize that, we could take control of that. We no longer have the panic and the fear. The Queen of Keys is signifying that if we get on our path, abundance will come. And it's just going to be a natural byproduct of doing what you love and helping others. When you do what you love and you help others, you will have abundance. It might not be a yacht. It might not be a multi-million-dollar mansion. but you will have abundance in your life, true abundance, not the illusory abundance that, you know, you can't take with you and leads to nothing but disappointment, because so many people that are extremely wealthy, we find, you know, a lot of them have killed themselves. A lot of them have drank themselves to death or prescription med themselves to death. A lot of them are very unhappy people, you know, deep, deep inside. Some aren't, because some do give back and some do understand the bigger picture going on. The next card we see is Life Restored, Priestess of the Phoenix. And obviously, the Phoenix rises from the ashes of the old, and that is what is going on now. We see the old world is crumbling. It is crumbling, and the darkness is giving way. And it's just a matter of time. And we see the star is the last card, and that's Archangel Jophiel. Happy times. Make positive, optimistic, long-term plans on the right path. When you listen to the inner voice, when you are following your highest calling, when you are helping others, you're on the right path, and it's going to lead to happy times. And whether those happy times are simply something so simple as what we're going to do and just basically camping out and getting to see friends on a no-frills budget, it doesn't matter. You know, it's about connecting. Again, we go back to the card in which we find each other, we find ourselves. And that's what it's about. It's about connecting and helping others. And when we're doing that, we are on the right path. And go ahead, make long-term plans. Don't think that the world's going to end tomorrow. We don't know. People thought the world was going to end in 1999. And, you know, the Jehovah's Witnesses, for instance, have called for the end of the world dozens of times. And you know what? It hasn't happened. It still hasn't happened. And so make your plans. Make optimistic plans. Don't be living in fear. Quite on the contrary, but recognize that everything we do affects the world in one way or another. So don't be living in a fear-based reality. Understand the situation. Prepare, you know, as always, prepare for the worst, but expect the best. And that is a good thing to keep in mind. And so I'll leave you with those thoughts, my friends. As always, like, share, subscribe. I thank you for your support on Patreon and Ko-Fi, and I look forward to your comments. God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste, you guys.